All right, well, what is up, everybody? Keith Jameson, go back getting guy 231 across the defense industry. It is Saturday, October 23rd. We have a big college football slate to go into. We're going to the main slate. I'll just tell you, I normally when I make my player sheet, prepare for this video, and I'm like chopping guys off. Like, oh my god, I could play him, I could play him, I could play him. Man, he has a huge spot. That's a huge spot. This slate, it was more trying to find guys to put in. I think some weird spots, some games that you weren't necessarily thinking that you would want to play, but now look like some of the best games on the slate. So it's an interesting one. Gonna do my best to give you some of my top plays. Feel free to share in the comments who you guys are on. I try to do my best to respond to everything before lock, and would love to hear you all's opinions as well. So like, subscribe, comment. Really does help us continue to grow this channel. Let's jump right in. So at the quarterback position, I think the big news is Corral is highly doubtful. He would make the slate a lot easier. And, if by some chance that he is in and they're saying without limitations and there's, he's looking good in warmups, then look, I think the slate changes and you maybe try your best to get Corral and Williams together. But without Corral, I think Caleb Williams stands out alone as the top overall play on the slate. I was just thinking of this before getting on. Have we ever seen a fall from grace like Spencer Rattler, like coming into the season, being a Heisman favorite, being considered #1 pick favorite, and now to be benched, not even halfway through the season? And now Caleb Williams comes in, immediately just starts tearing it up. 15 for 24 for 211, 18 for 23, 295. But the biggest thing is the running, right? 66 and 88 yards with big plays, 41 and 66. So taking on a Kansas team, I think, Caleb Williams could just fully assert himself as the clear #1 moving forward. And I want him in my lineups. Oklahoma can be a tough team to kind of figure out how to get exposure to. So having a runner, like this used to be like Jalen Hurts, right? When we had Jalen Hurts at Oklahoma, I was just like, all right, this week Oklahoma's on the slate and playing Jalen Hurts. Like it was almost just like a free square and a cheat button. And I think Caleb Williams is that. Rattler's okay. No, sorry. I meant to say Riddler. Rattler, not okay. Riddler, okay, versus Navy. The issue I have with any of the Navy, Army, Air Force is because they try to bleed the clock so much with the run game, it lessens the amount of plays that you get on the other side. So you got to be so much more efficient. So I'm probably not going to be on Riddler. I think that Navy just takes away pure ceiling, but that's just me. Pickett versus Clemson. Look, I'm not going to be a lot on Pitt here. I know Pitt's been good this year. I know their offense has been very good, and Clemson hasn't been. But Clemson, you still just you go position by position, right? You look at like each position group, and you're just still like Clemson's freaking loaded. Like they at some point they should come out pull it together, but they just have 5 stars all over the place, and you just you don't want to all of a sudden go against them and then the real Clemson show up. At least that's my opinion. DTR, I really like 8100. DTR is running a ton, which is what we really want. Oregon's not the cleanest matchup in the world, but I think this is going to be a really good game, especially at home. We saw versus Washington, who's a good team. Lower scoring game, 24-17. DTR still puts with 30 DK with 12 rushing attempts and 26 passing attempts. That's what we like from our dual threat. So I think DTR is one of my top guys outside of Williams. I think Anthony Brown is in play as well. Same reason, that dual threat ability. Again, just the concern with either one is they're run first teams, and you have 2 run first teams in a game, and all of a sudden that clock goes through quick. So then we kind of find this like lull range. Max Johnson's interesting, but I'm going to talk about Davis Price here in a minute, especially after that game versus UF. Really does seem like LSU's trying to go run first, as long as they can establish it, versus Mississippi Ole Miss, which they very well could. I think Clifford's interesting at 6,900 in a soft matchup at home versus Illinois. He has dual threat ability. Brock Purdy's okay. Not really a dual threat guy. but 6,600 is a decent price. Spencer Sanders, I'm very interested in at 6,500. Does give us that dual threat. This is potentially a decent game. You know, one of the higher totals on the slate. So 6,500 for dual threat guy and a decently high total is fine. And then the other guy I had written down is SKYLAR Thompson at Kansas State. You know, again, another higher total game over 60 at Texas Tech could be a good option. But you see, like, even at the quarterback, there's one guy to be excited about. And everybody else is like, okay, I could fit him, maybe. Running back is a place to be excited about. There's just so many of them. And the guys that you're most excited about are all really expensive. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about BREECE Hall. BREECE Hall is just freaking awesome. Maybe I will. BREECE Hall is freaking awesome. Like, I want to go back. This was a fun slate. 7,000 for BREECE Hall. We lock and loaded him at FSI, 50 DK. It is nice. He's catching the ball. He's always going to get goal line. You know, it's just expensive. He's 9,400. And it's not if BREECE Hall is a great play. BREECE Hall is a great play. It's just like the opportunity cost of, all right, can I get 90% of BREECE Hall's production from a Deuce Vaughn, who I like a lot, for 1,700 cheaper? And can that 1,700 cheaper make up that 10% and then some, right? So that, I mean, that's DFS. Kennedy Brooks, solid play, 8,600. Jerome Ford, I'm expecting to be chalky after his huge game. Look, it's what I just said about Navy with Ritter. It's Navy's going to shorten the game, so you've got to be that much more efficient. But I like Ford. I think Warren is a huge play here. Jaylen Warren, 69 carries the last two games. We don't get that type of bell cow work in college football. So it's 8,000. I wish he get a little bit more involved in the receiving game, but man, you know, the production from Jaylen Warren is crazy. So I like Jaylen Warren a ton at 8,000. Deuce Vaughn, the aforementioned. Look, I like Deuce Vaughn a lot because he gets really involved in the receiving game. This is a solid total game. So we're still going to get, you know, 15 to 20 carries. And then if we get five catches, man, that upside is really unlocked, especially in this game. So Deuce Vaughn stands out. Travis Dye, another guy that's catching the ball a ton, 11 catches the last 2 weeks, 19 carries in each of those two games. Again, though, pace and the amount of plays in UCLA, Oregon is the only detraction on him. Zach Charbonnet at 7,000 is going to split time with Brown, but obviously Zach Charbonnet has shown himself to be the number one. My lock at running back is Davis Price. That was one of the most painful games as a Gator fan I've watched in some time. Just watching Davis Price every time he touched the ball, knowing he was getting 8 yards. And, you know, he went 36 for 287, 3 touchdowns. That's on top of the previous game for some really good Kentucky defense, going 22 for 147. It's obvious that the Tigers have found something on the run game through Davis Price, especially with Butte injured. So they're just going to pound him. So Davis Price to me is the lock and load at the running back position. Let me just real quick, just make sure there's nobody else. Just 2 other guys I just want to mention. Ely for Ole Miss had been their number one most of the season, been injured, is back. We'll see how much work he gets, but at 4,000, if he's named the starter, I think that's a really strong play. We're on a slate where we could use some value. The issues you're giving up a running back spot, but I think you're going to need to and do like Ely or my last guy. Make sure I have it. Lee. Kavion Lee from Penn State is now in a timeshare, and some people are saying he's even taking over Noah Cain. Look, there's nothing like super impressive on these logs, but you know what the impressive part is? Being a big favorite at home and the price tag at 3,300 to make a lot of this work. So Kavion Lee, I think, is very in play. Let's shift over to wide receiver and then get the hell out of here. Drummond, Bell, Addison, Mims, fine. They're all good plays. I wish Marvin Mims was 4,500 again. That was nice. That was a very nice week to get him that low, but shoots way up to 7,300. I think Dotson's a very good play at 7,200. I really don't see a way Illinois stops Penn State much here at all. It's just how much does Penn State want to pour it on. Tay Martin, just stud. Feels like Oklahoma State always has that one wide receiver that just crushes, right? This year's Tay Martin, coming off of a rough game versus UT. I wonder if people are off of him. 6,900 is a really good price for an alpha number one. Let's see. Then I'm jumping down to Justin Ross. Look, it's been a disappointing season for Clemson, but no Nagata. Galloway's kind of banged up. You kind of look and you go, who the hell are they going to throw to? Justin Ross. A lot. And Pittsburgh, if Pittsburgh put some points on, now all of a sudden Clemson's going to have to throw the ball. I think Justin Ross makes a lot of sense. JARAY Jenkins, likely the number one for LSU now with all the injuries. Ole Miss cannot defend. Ole Miss plays shootouts. Now, how much is it going to change with Matt Corral out? I'm not sure, but JARAY Jenkins, good athlete. It's getting some targets. It's 5,700 in the highest total. So I try not to overthink that. So I'm just making sure I'm getting you the best guys. HASELWOOD's my next guy on my list. Look, he's looking like their number one right now. You have Marvin Mims, obviously, is the talent. Oklahoma can spread the ball around a ton, but I don't think we can take away that we had 6 targets last week and 3 touchdowns. So he is who Caleb Williams was kind of looking at in the red zone. And it's 5,400 in a game that Oklahoma could score 40, 50 points, right? So again, I just said I don't want to overthink it, but I'm trying not to overthink it when we have some of these spots. And no, there's not going to be anybody that's just going to stand out and go, oh my God, hit you in the face. Like, he's 5,000. He's coming off of 17 targets. Like, that guy is not on the slate. Go down. My cheeky play that I kind of like is Charlie KOLAR. Charlie KOLAR, one of the top tight ends in the nation. He never jumps off the page at you as having, like I said, those like 10, 15 target games, but he's always going to get involved. He and Purdy have great chemistry, and he's always going to get 5, 6 targets. Purdy's going to feel really comfortable going to KOLAR in the end zone. It's 4,500, potential high scoring game, must win for Iowa State. Kind of like the cream to rise to the crop, or to the crop, Jesus, to the top. So Charlie KOLAR, 4,500. It's one of those, you could do worse. And then, you go down here and you're just like, I spent a lot of time down here hoping that somebody would pop out. Nothing really pops out. You could do my guy, Mario Williams, but he's kind of been taken out. I think one really interesting play down here, one is Allen from Clemson if Galloway can't go, but if Galloway is back, Brendan Galloway, huge big-time athlete at the tight end position. Clemson's desperate for more passing game help. 3,300. Look, you're not asking for much, but if you get the Brandon Galloway from 2 years ago in the national championship game, then Yahtzee, and you're off and running. All right, that'll do it. Good luck today. You're not in love with your build. I don't think anybody's going to walk into the slate loving your build, so don't freak out. But there are some spots. I hope that I illustrated that. And good luck today. With that, I'll say, see you.